Can you hear me? Tobias?
Now we can, yes.
Yes,
now we can.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so just an idea one more time again where you can find all FileWave folks and partners.
No, I think we
haven't heard
hear you at all. So that's
from the beginning. So you kind of need to rewrite.
Oh. So nobody's telling me. Welcome to FileWave eMeeting, second quarter, 2021. Woo! I mean, nobody's telling me, hey, we can't see you. Wait a second, you should see me also. Start video. Woo! Can everybody hear me loud and clear now? Perfect. So let's do that again. So all my energy is gone from the first few minutes. So let me recap again. Yeah, welcome again for today's e-meeting. I'll run through the slides pretty fast, and all our technical folks are here to update you on what happened since the last time. So last time in March, I think it was, I introduced you our new CTO, Vasily Suvorov. He's waving here for us. Great. So Vasily is being a great asset over the last 3 months. I'm so happy that he joined our team, and he increased the support team. He ran a complete restructuring of the development team. He provided 1 or 2 updates from the product. Also, we on the other side, the sales team, we improved and grow our sales team, our marketing. We improved and established even more presence in the Asian market. As you know, I mentioned that last quarter, we signed this partnership with Lenovo, and they are bringing us more and more projects. And yeah, we need more people there as well. The company in Sarajevo is finally established, completely up and running. And I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure to establish new companies all over the world in the pandemic timeframe, because you can't go there, and it's really fun. I might write one day a book over that. And Singapore as well. And as you know, we have established also a service hub in the Philippines. Tony Keller take this project there over, and he's putting more and more people in. So we are growing not only in the APAC, but also in the US, in Europe, and especially in the service department, we are adding more and more people in. Again, this is where you can find all FileWave or FileWave partners. In the meantime, we are over 5 million devices, and I have a goal. I would like to be somewhere. No, I'm not telling you that. I surprise you end of the year, where we want to grow. So some names we have onboarded also over the last times. I'm not going to mention that in particularly. US customers, we have some names who joined us recently also. If you are here, welcome to the club, and watching forward, and hopefully meeting you soon also in person. And also our number of US partners did grow over the last year and months. I hope you are also here. Welcome in the club. Happy you joined us, and really looking forward to work with you in the US market. So again, Vasily joined us. He's onboarded nearly completely now, I guess. He will talk himself about that. He completely restructured the development organization. And very important, and I'm also very happy as I'm here, that Vasily joined us, is Tobias Schimmer, our new Chief Commercial Officer. But before I introduce you this young gentleman, full of energy, Tobias, you want to say hi?
Yeah, thank you, Nurdan, and also very warm welcome from my side. As Nurdan said, I joined very recently, so I'm still very green with FileWave. I joined about 3 weeks ago, and today is a very exciting day for me personally, because this is the first big touch point with both existing customers and hopefully also plenty of potential new customers. and I'm really excited to go through this agenda today with you, and also hopefully in the future get to know many of you personally, or in nowadays digitally. So if you can go to the next slide, Nurdan, maybe a few intro words to myself so you know who you're dealing with. My name is Tobias Schimmer. I'm an engineer by training, and I spent the first half of my professional career with a management consultancy called BCG, the Boston Consulting Group. I was basically, I think if you don't know what these guys do, we consult with usually pretty big companies on C-level, and look at different business problems. But the day-to-day actually looks like you're making a lot of slides for CEOs and C-level people. Also did my MBA in Chicago while I was at BCG, and then eventually I decided I had made enough slides and it was time to actually take action and start building stuff myself. And I convinced my wife, so I'm originally from Germany, I should say. I convinced my wife to move to San Francisco, and I joined Shift.com. Maybe some of you even know it. It's a company that sells used cars online. And I was a pretty early member of the management team and basically helped build the business, both the operational side of the business, but also the team and then the technology that you actually need to make these transactions happen. So, went through a very aggressive growth curve and probably made a lot of mistakes along the way. But I think I also learned a ton about what it means to scale a business and really grow an organization, and hopefully some skills that will be useful here at FileWave. After a couple of years at Shift, I had the chance to join Cruise, put a little card there. Cruise is a company that builds self-driving cars. And I was brought on to basically develop a plan on how to commercialize self-driving cars. And I prepared, I think what will be probably very likely and very soon, the first commercial robotaxi operation, probably in the world, or at least in the US, in San Francisco. And then, eventually, I think, we have 3 kids, my wife and I, and eventually my wife said, you told me we're going to San Francisco for 1 or 2 years. Now we're here for a couple of years already. And it's a nice place, but we're very far away from our extended family in Germany. So we decided to move back to the Black Forest. And this is what kind of brought me in touch with FileWave. Because geographically, I live pretty close to the headquarters in Biel in Switzerland. And and through some contacts, I got to know Nurdan, and the more I learned about the company, I think the more excited I got about the company. Especially, I think for three reasons. So one, I think FileWave has awesome people. I think they're, I've worked in great organizations, but what I can say about FileWave, I think there's just a ton of highly motivated and highly qualified people out there. Distributed pretty globally for the size of company. So this is super exciting for me because that's part of great work is working with great people. I think secondly, if we look at the space we're in, and I think you as customers can probably talk about that much better than I can. I think we're in a space where we actually provide technology that enables, the future of work. I think the current pandemic has shown that, it's really changing fast how we collaborate and how we work together, whether that's in companies or in schools. And I think FileWave is one of the backbone tools that's actually enabling that to do that effectively and efficiently. And then lastly, I think, FileWave has awesome customers. And again, that brings me back to my earlier point that today is a very exciting day for me. I've obviously done my research and read about, what customers say about FileWave before I joined. And I think there's a lot of excited people out there. So hopefully, I think I can help to contribute and build the company both with Nurdan and Vasily and all the other guys on the team. So maybe on the next slide, Nurdan, you can Yeah, perfect. So one of the things that I'll focus on at FileWave, I think the first part is together with the leadership team, I'll work on developing like, a very clear mission and vision of how we want to contribute to this, kind of distributed model of working and everything that comes with it, basically managing hardware. It's very distributed. I think secondly, I want to help and move the organization as close as possible to you, our customers. And I think looking at the agenda, I think there's some good things we have up our sleeves. I think Tony will talk probably about some tools we want to use to actually get, more direct feedback on the things that you guys need out there. And then actually be able to provide even better service and even better value to you as our customers. And then I think lastly, FileWave has grown quite a bit over the last couple of years. And I think this is relating back to my experience in San Francisco. I think when you grow, you kind of have to change some things, right? You have to change the organization a little bit, the way you communicate, the leadership, and how you work together. And I'm hoping, and as you as customers, I think you will hopefully feel that then also, if we work better together. I'm hoping to bring some of that to FileWave. And in the end, hopefully this helps us to provide an even better customer experience to you out there. So I think with that, I'll hand it back to Nurdan. Again, very excited to meet you all. And yeah, looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
So thank you, Tobias. I don't see any of you, and I really don't like these kind of e-events. You can say whatever you want. I'm more the person who likes the personal touch. In the last quarter in the event, we told you that we heard the pain, we did grow so much, and we have to do changes. So Tobias is clearly also there to help us with that, as you hear. So we are not only running some changes on the technical side, but also on the operational side. And that's really, really great in my opinion. And so now my presentation is hanging. Now, yes, next page. I hope that the most of you have been already in touch with our US customer experience team. I would like to see in the chat or maybe later on some emails on how you like the service they are providing now. We receive only great feedback, but it would be really nice to get some more information from you. So our next step is to improve our services there, but also to implement the same in the EMEA and APAC region. Another thing we are doing is in the moment that we say the support team is great. I mean, one of our team, I mean, I'm proud of all team members, but especially what Derek and his team in the US, in APAC and in EMEA, what they are doing, the hours, the friendliness, the stress they are, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a break, actually applause from me, but sometimes they reach their limits. So we say, how we can improve the experience for the customer better. And we decided that we will put a dedicated development resource into each support team. So this is happening now. The first 2 persons are hired. Another one is on the way. So I hope you will see the change and you will feel the service even more improved very soon also here. Andy, the marketing team I presented to you last time, came one day to me and said, look, we are doing so many larger projects. It would be useful if we start working also a little bit with the Gartners and Forresters of this year. So we say, okay, well, why not? So we went with Gartner, we went with Forrester. We will be in the Magic Quadrant as of this year. I think it's August it will be published. I'm officially not able to say where we are placed, but I'm very happy about it. Let me tell you that. What's happening this year, the rest of the year on the organizational side? We are moving in Germany into new offices, which is in the middle of Düsseldorf, if anybody have been in Germany. so far. This will happen in July. We are moving in Sarajevo into completely new offices. And as well as our US office will move into Indianapolis downtown in November 2021. But let's look again in the most important departments. For me, the US support team. I'm sure you hear them from time to time, but here is also some pictures and some faces behind. I can just say, Tobias told me he read a lot of great reviews about FileWave, and in my opinion, these guys are one of the reasons why we are getting so many reviews. So if you agree with me, write in the chat. What will happen today? You will hear today a little bit about what's coming in version 14.5, which will include great stuff. I just picked Windows MDM, Autopilot, Azure Okta. Why we have not delivered it in March, April, I am sure Tony Keller will explain you. And then one thing, we are working on device trust. What that means, you will hear very soon also from Vasily. We are working at the same time on certifications for FileWave. And one thing we are hearing since a few years, remote control. Make a better remote control. Well, we heard you, we are working on it. It's coming this year. Don't ask me exactly when, which date, but it's coming within this year. But we will deliver you way more than the functionality to observe your FileWave client. As you can see, first of all, the most important thing for me, so far, Observe client was only available on desktops, Mac and Windows, and now we are moving that completely cross-platform. Also iOS, Android, and Chrome. You will have the possibility to chat with your customers, to record, and so on and so on. You can read the list yourself. So this is pretty cool, and that's I'm really excited also about that. And I know that Tony Keller will tell you a little bit more later about that. So that's it from my side. I am over giving now, but there is one more thing. This pandemic situation is continuing since 1.5 years. And for those of you who are since longer time with us, customers of us since long time, and I know that I see some names who have been with us 3-4 years ago. We have had a product which we called Engage, which was a classroom management tool. We did not develop it further because at a certain time, because we feel that we made a mistake there. It was not the way which made us really happy to provide a product. So, and in these last 1.5 years, especially for my person, I am stuck at home in home office. I have 2 kids, 11 and 9 years very soon, and they do homeschooling. Now the homeschooling they do is very interesting. There is a lot of papers, there is a lot of information which is sent over, even with mail. Some of them, they use a tool which is very heavy to use because you need to be really a technical expert. You need to deep dive in it. So I was like, we need a solution here. And then we start evaluating, we went out, we talked with customers, we talked to some of you also as a customer, we talked to teachers, to parents, to students, we talked to a lot of people, and we came out with an idea what we can do. And the name is ClassSpaces. So a new wave for education powered by FileWave. I would like to give my word now over to Vasily. And Vasily and Julian will show you what we mean with classroom management and FileWave. So Vasily, are you here?
Thank you, Nurdan. Very, very exciting. Yeah, so what we will do next is a section we actually, I would really like to establish a new tradition where we open up a little bit our kitchen, so to speak, right? And show you how we actually take your request seriously, how we think through what we need to do, and how we take some of these ideas and productize them so that everybody benefits from them and also from the long term. And today I would like to present you two initiatives that we're doing. One is the stuff that we're doing around device trust, but more importantly, also deep integration with identity providers such as Okta. I'll start by talking about that. And then we will do a deep dive into ClassSpaces as well, right? Because those two topics are very, very important for us. We are very passionate and really eager to share what we're working on, with the goal, again, to showcase you how we think about these things, what kind of future we see on the market, and also to engage you in the dialogue, right? That's very, very important for us. So with that, let me start with talking about our IDP work. Okay, right, so great. And the first question is, can everybody see and hear me? I hope yes. Okay, great. All right, so with Okta and IDP integration, I thought that, before I jump into the technical side of things and show how we're solving, what kind of problems we're solving, how we're doing it, I maybe want to put things into perspective and really talk where the market is moving to, not the least because of the COVID situation and what happened there, and what does it mean for the whole unified endpoint management market, and for FileWave in particular, and what we're doing with that. So essentially, for me, it was always interesting to see in my IT career where things are moving, right? Technology is changing all the time, and people use these technologies to solve business problems, and one affect the other, right? So businesses, they learn about technologies. The innovators within those businesses, they understand, oh, we can do something new. So new business lines, new competition, new ways to compete actually appear, and that gives rise to new technologies and so on, right? And this whole disruption that we're living through with COVID actually did something good, right? Lots of bad things and still ongoing, but something good also happened, and that's basically we discovered the future of work is not something that happens to us in 20 or 30 years. It's already here, right? And we know that remote work is no longer an exception. In fact, lots of different surveys, they show that more than 70% of people actually prefer either pure remote or at least a hybrid environment, and only 20% of employees want to only work in the office. The other thing that happened is leadership sees this as a strategic opportunity, which was not the case before. A lot of management saw, oh, okay, remote work, it's probably people not working, looking at Facebook all the time and things like that. And it's also changing dialogue around IT again, right? Because for the last few years, I think we've all seen this in many business fields where IT has been seen as cost, and there's always been like KPIs around reducing costs and things like that nature, and people were complaining, hey, IT stands in the way of transforming the business. So that's also changing to the better. And essentially, so what are these lessons learned? And really a lot of IT people, like many of you have stepped up, or maybe even all of you have stepped up and really showcased that if the decision is made, lots of complex deployments, lots of complex things can happen in a matter of days rather than months that it was before, because of new technology, because of the cloud, because of new things that are available there. And at the same time, that rapid transformation that enabled businesses to survive and reduce layoffs or completely not do layoffs and continue operations actually brought IT back into the strategic focus for the leadership. And because of that, now leadership is thinking, okay, how can we partner more with IT and take advantage of this new technology more and help us, drive productivity and working from home and help us to enable and monitor performance of a company going forward, right? So those are the very, very important things. And when we talk about the strategic focus on IT and enabling the business, now the conversation is really shifting away from, in many organizations, not all, but many, how can we get away from measuring IT on number of tickets they're processing, number of applications they're running, and budgets and things like that, to really from SLA, service level agreements, to experience level agreements, right? And that's all about how can we enable the effective digital workspace. So this experience level agreement is all about employees being able to access the applications, get access to the files, and use the equipment and resources of the company across different situations, locations, and devices. And we know that that's really very important, because a lot of people face that they're lacking some of the basic skills. I mean, people were working in the offices, phones work, networks work. If something breaks, people can come in and fix it, and so on and so forth. And we know that some people actually struggled connecting the headsets, by Bluetooth or in a wired way sometimes, using different devices at the same time. Getting adjusted to Microsoft Teams and so on. So yeah, so we need to make sure we can bridge the gap and really, as IT professionals, make sure that we integrate the hardware and software while not compromising on cyber or information security, because people are no longer working from the office, while at the same time enabling the seamless experience so people are actually productive, right? So where I'm going with this, right? You might be asking, okay, so what does it have to do with our topic today? And I think from my standpoint, actually, when we think about creating this experience and bridging the gap, reducing friction, endpoint management is the key product that needs to be there, right? Because we need to manage all these different devices. And we know actually now that once people start working away from the office, they start to use more devices simultaneously, right? In addition to laptop, now they're using their mobile phone. In addition to mobile phone, they want to use an iPad or a touchpad, maybe some Android stuff and so on, all simultaneously. So we need to enable that experience. And how is that possible? It's only possible if we control these endpoints and solve the problems remotely, efficiently configure them, enable rich integrations with security software, with IT automation software. We support all these different platforms, and we can do it through cloud environments for horizontal scalability, but also for edge access to reduce latency and things of that nature, right? So, and here, I think the whole industry around endpoint management can really benefit if they're positioned well. And from my standpoint, when I think about FileWave as a company with a lot of legacy, we are one of the pioneers of cross-platform endpoint management, and have been striving to push the envelope with all the different features that we have. We, I think, really well positioned to move into that paradigm, because this is how the IT is going to develop for the next 20, 30 years. This is a clear direction, clear vector for us. And so when we think about it, what are we really enabling? We can think of this as a sort of IT spaces, right? So people are not longer in the office, but this is extended IT space where people are working from whatever it's most convenient or best at the moment. And it has to cover their IT environment, and we sort of can really deliver this tailored end user experience, staying productive, focused, protected, and assisted, when needed. Right. So now back to Okta and IDPs. So when we need to bridge this gap and enable this connectivity and reduce friction, we need to eliminate complexity. And to do that, we really need to understand how, who is it that we're dealing with? Who is using this machine or device? What type of employee or a student they are? Where do they belong? What type of department? What type of class? What is their job function, right? If they're a teacher, for example, right? Or if, are they a developer? Are they accountant? Are they HR person? So that creates the context. And because of that context, we can drive automation, which eliminates complexity and then enables user experience and productivity, right? So that's really the context that I had in mind when I started to think about actually a simple request I'll just talk about in a second. And with that in mind, we believe that a lot of IT processes going forward, they need to be driven exactly by the employee or end user identity. And we started to, of course, to do Okta integration, which we will hear about later with the first topic, like best practices for single sign-on. which is a simple integration, straightforward integration, which just allows us to offer best practices in terms of multi-factor authentication, and other different things that are coming from Okta, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel there, which makes usage of FileWave for admins easier, faster, and better. At the same time, we also work on a much deeper integration, which is exactly addressing the topics I just talked about, where we're leveraging comprehensive information about employees from IDP, identity access management, workflows. We're combining those capabilities with the device trust that we provide, and also we're taking that information to make configuration of endpoints user-centric. So let me talk through that a little bit. Essentially, but you know what, I've just talked a lot about strategic direction, what's happening in the market, but the question was actually really simple. A number of our customers came to us and said, well, we're using Okta, and our people may be using a shared computer, right? So they're not logging into computer. Computer is under management by FileWave. However, there's a generic user, but people use the browser to log in and access something like Salesforce, Workday, or whatever, like in cloud. And they said, can you guys make sure that they're only logging into those applications, into web applications, using a managed device? Okay, so that was the question. And we started to think through it, and basically realized, hey, this is a zero trust scenario, right? Which is basically trust but verify. And we need to make sure that the user experience is seamless. Because, for example, if we try to do just certificate authentication, anybody who actually tried that knows that for users, especially non-technical ones, it's a nightmare. You presented just a dialogue that says select the right certificate, and they're very technical, and it's you cannot customize it, so it's a very bad user experience. So it's got to be something else. And the problem that we're solving here, we need to match, right, the browser session to the actual computer and make sure this is computer auto management. Devices can be shared, as I explained, so we cannot just rely on the information coming from login events into the device itself. There can be all kinds of different things installed on devices, so we cannot rely on something being present because different people use different threat management systems and so on. And of course, there are different operating systems. So, and we started to think about it, how to do it. And here is basically a very high level sort of architecture that we came up with. So what you see here, here's Okta, and of course it can be other IDPs because they all, Okta is probably the most feature rich when it comes to workflows and metadata management. They also very good in integration, but other people are also have similar capabilities. So we decided to support standards, and basically we will have a cloud system. And just to answer the question, this cloud, everything that we do in the cloud will be portable. It's a cloud agnostic. It can be deployed in a cloud environment, in a hybrid environment, or on-prem data center. It will be based on Docker and Kubernetes, so easy to deploy and scale. Will be basically appearing as a third-party IDP. So as you access our application, you will get login screen provided by us. From this login screen, we will actually establish a local session to the machine. And then there is some interesting workflows going on where we get a device ID managed by FileWave. And then we, in the back end, we make sure that this is a secure way to match a web session to the hardware, right? And at the same time, we also leverage something called cross-domain identity management, SCIM standard, which allows us to synchronize user information so that we don't have to create yet another directory ourselves, right? This is how we're solving it. For those who are interested, we can talk about it. It's a very interesting problem. Not a simple one, but now we prototyped it. It works well. It will scale for both Apple and Windows, and with deep linking will also work in future on mobile devices as well. But most importantly, what it does is, as you can see from these connections, it gives us rich access, almost real-time access into what's going on within Okta, which is usually something that's not only IT people, but HR and others are using to manage the employee or a customer life cycle, for example. And out of that, what we can do, we can really make device profiles user-centric and adaptive. Because what happens is you have your custom employee profiles, and you can specify all kinds of data. We can react to the data. So for example, you onboard an employee changes jobs, it's been promoted, moves to another department, or offboarded. We can read that event. We can match it to our smart groups and profiles or policies, for example. In one way, we can match these policies to custom field updates, which will go to the computer, and we now know who is, who is using that computer. This custom field updates will change the state, and therefore, smart groups will be updated and changes will be made, right? So even using these capabilities that we have together with a little bit of integration, which is of course very involved, we can already achieve some of this, adaptive behaviors going forward. So very, very excited about possibilities there, and eager to hear from you what type of use cases you can see there. Right, and all it means that we need to really work on our cloud readiness. We know that we have increasing demand, that people want to host the FileWave core product in addition to extension modules that we're building. And so that means that, for example, if we want to support this adaptive user profiles, we need to make sure that these profiles work in near real time. This is a coming feature, we're working on that too. We also work in a reliable, scalable data distribution, like sometimes the file sets that we need to push out and distribute, they weight, gigabytes. And of course, trying to send it all from one central location is not the best strategy. And of course, with people not working from the office, using boosters is not sometimes a good idea. So we are thinking about new ways to distribute the data for lots of endpoints that are not in one location or in the office as well. We also work in very important geographical portability. As I mentioned, every cloud work that we do means that we would be able to host these things in different clouds, in different physical locations to comply with different regulations, data residency, GDPR compliance, the Consumer Protection Act in California, HIPAA, and so on and so forth, right? So those things that they are actually working on quite hard as we make the transition. Right, so that was it. That was just a quick sort of update on what we are working on in terms of IDPs, where we'll see in the market going, the types of things we want to be able to do. And Okta is coming first, but of course, as I mentioned, other IDPs are possible, so please let us know which IDPs you would like us to work with. So hopefully you're very encouraged by this little report. With that, I would like to switch to classroom management tool that we're developing that Nurdan just talked about. Okay, so I will be co-presenting with Yulian. Yulian, you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. So Yulian, for those of you who have not met him, I highly recommend it. Yulian is my colleague who is in charge of our fantastic user experience team that actually now combines both designers, user interface designers, and developers. So they cannot point fingers to each other and say, hey, what have you designed? I cannot implement it. And hey, what did you implement? This doesn't look like I designed it. And this is a very passionate group. They love to talk to customers and understand how people are using the product, how can we make it easier, and simplify it, right? So he's a great member of the team, and this is one of the projects that he is personally working on. So maybe let me start just very, very quickly. And essentially, as Nurdan mentioned earlier in her introduction when she talked about ClassSpaces, now that we've seen the challenge, that people really need a tool to make sure that collaboration is possible now that students are no longer in the class, and going forward, it looks like that will be a normal situation, at least a hybrid situation will be normal. We see that tools have not changed, even though the life has changed. And we looked at other solutions. We wanted to partner with somebody because, why invest into a tool where we have the market that has all kinds of different tooling out there? But we actually found none that we really liked. because then we would have need to partner with multiple providers, because none of them cover all operating systems that we need, and none of them offer the functionality that our customers need. So that was not a very good strategy. And we said, like, okay, we being the parents and we being the technology people, what kind of tool we would like to have ourselves, right, for our kids, right, for our environments. And we thought, like, okay, how about a solution, a class management tool that addresses the needs not just of the teacher or a student, but the teacher and the student and the parent. So that was very important for us. How about we cover all the important platforms that exist there? How do we make sure that it's easily deployable, outside of the school and accessible? How can we make sure that from the user experience, it's really designed for collaboration and keeps everyone engaged? And how about the tool that is already combining and makes it easy to use the resources and applications that we're already using for teaching, right? It integrates with, Wikipedia, of course, with other web applications to share data, learning management systems, calendars, school information systems, and things of that nature, and actually reduces the amount of tools you need to have in addition, such as chat, video communications, and so on and so forth. And it's fun to use, right? So this is the tool that we wanted to build. And out of that desire, came this idea of ClassSpaces. And that's what Spaces already heard me using, this idea of extended spaces which connect people within an IT environment, right? But this specific space is for classes. And as you can see, we really thought about fun in connecting people there. And in terms of core features, the goal here is to make it simple to use. It's a browser-centric environment around Chrome. So it's compatible with most of the operating systems out of the box. And it basically is all about making sure that students are concentrating on the work. It's easy for them to engage and understand what's expected of them, collaborate with their mates and with the teacher. And the teacher, of course, can easily understand is if these people were in the class and the teacher was walking through, the rows and looking over the shoulder, so to speak. This is the type of experience we wanted to build. And we want to use, of course, our product functionality to make sure we can easily deploy this solution and remove friction by configuring the right settings so it's easy to use, right? So that was it. So with that in mind, I would like to pass word to Julian to start talking about, what kind of experience he's designing for you. Julian, over to you.
Thank you, Vasily. I'm very glad to be able to present this today to you, because it was a very exciting experience for us building this. And I think it will be also an exciting experience for you to see it. And what I also already want to ask you at the beginning of this session now is this is not a product that shall be developed in isolation, but we want really, like Vasily mentioned at the beginning, to involve you into the experience, into building this experience. Because personally, we believe after we analyze the competitor tools that LMS tools are quite fragmented, and they are not really made actually for the classroom environment. They are not made to connect students, to connect teachers, and to create a comprehensive learning experience, but they're much more of a management tool. And this is what we wanted to strive for, to build a tool that's much more transparent. And we actually started the first interviews already back in August last year. And that's why I'm super, super happy to have now Vasily on board, because he helped us now to build the team and the structures and the processes to be able to build this in a very agile and in very close to the market strategy. We're working very closely together with stakeholders, parents, teachers, students. And what we want this product to evolve is very natural, very organic. So including you, and some of you have already spoken to us, so thanks a lot for that. Involving all of you to build, so to say, we're dreaming of education 2.0, because we think education is not really using the capabilities of technology. And for that, we looked into three different stages. So we not only wanted to cover what's happening during the class, but we also wanted to cover what's actually happening before and after the classroom. And we also wanted to integrate all the stakeholders that are actually part of education. So not only covering the teachers, but also very specifically at looking at student needs, so we can provide them with experience to connect with each other and to talk to each other about homework, about materials, about the challenges that they're facing in their learning experiences, but also involving the parents, because that was something we found is a major point, or they are a major contributor actually to education. A lot of the kids' development is dependent on their parents. So if we can give parents more insights into what are the kids actually doing, what are they learning, what are their homeworks, this gives us the opportunity, them the opportunity to learn much better and in a much more transparent way, especially during Corona times. But in general, this is a topic where we feel coming from physical materials, the digital environment is not used yet completely. And to quickly give you an insight into how this works, I would quickly like to present you a short demo of how this would look for a teacher. If you're interested in sessions together with us, we can also preview you what we are planning on the student and also on the parent side. Or if you want to learn more about the teacher as well, we're very happy to collaborate with you. And for now, I will quickly present my screen. Maybe you can also drop me a quick message if you can see it now.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect, cool. So let's imagine I'm a teacher and I'm just going to start a class, and I'm quite straight before I'm joining the classroom, so I want to sign in. And what the first thing I see is my class dashboard. I see all my classes that I'm having, and I can also already see that for the class that is upcoming, Spanish 3A, already 24 of 28 students joined. So the class is almost full. This dashboard also gives me the possibility to already dive into the other classes, understanding and planning those classes. I can already collect materials up front. But right now I want to jump right into the classroom, where I can see all my students that already joined. And how students are joining is actually quite interesting, because what we want them to do is verify and authenticate via video. And compared to other classroom management tools, what we have is a class corridor where they actually can wait for the class, they can already communicate, they can talk to each other, exchange information about homework, and also the teachers is able to put some of the gamification functionalities that we're thinking of, things like quizzes or lesson entry questions into that area. So we allow them to interact with each other and to want to come to class. We want them to be motivated. We want to create a similar experience like they would have in a physical classroom. And this is exactly what we're aiming for. So let's assume, so already before I'm joining the class, also as a teacher, I can join the chat and I can chat to certain students. I can ask them how they were doing about their homework. They can also ask me. This can also happen outside the class. So right now I just want to drop a quick message because I need 5 more minutes to prepare the lesson. And so everyone can see that and everyone can prepare themselves for the lesson to start. And I also quickly want to add one student because the student missed a class, one of my other classes, where I'm actually teaching exactly the same thing. So the remote environment actually gives me the chance to quite easily invite them. And I'm inviting Helen Bauer into my class, so she can also contribute and participate and catch up with the materials that she missed before. So now I'm ready to start the class, and I can do that by pressing the big red button on the top right. I guess you probably have seen it. And what I can do from the moment I as a teacher, I start the class, I can see, I can have insights into all my students, what they're actually doing. And because our main goal was to create much more transparency in the physical environment. They have a lot of that they see what the students are doing, they see what the students are acting with, what they're paying attention to, and we're trying to replicate similar functionalities in the classroom. And what you can, for example, see here right now is I, as a teacher, I can realize that Henry Itondo is currently on a tab that probably was still open because before the class he was maybe just watching that video, but now I want to make sure he's paying attention to the class. So what I can do is I can select him, and besides from other functionalities, I can close his active tab quite easily. As you can see now, it switched to his other tab because we closed YouTube proactively, and we want to give, and the reason for that is we want to give the teacher the same capabilities that they would have in class, where they could just prevent students from doing certain things, to help them learn, to help them grow, and to help them. Sorry? Was that a question? Okay.
So I suggest, Julian, why don't you move forward, and then we can take questions later.
Okay, let's do it this way. Perfect.
So right, very lively chat, very, very interesting, but I think, we need to finish the demo first.
Absolutely, yeah. Good point. Cool. So now I'm ready, and I presented already the task to the class, the first task that they are going to work on. And one thing that we found is very difficult, especially in the remote context, but in general, when it comes to digital, using digital products and digital materials, is the sharing of materials. Everyone who has been a teacher or who has a child knows how difficult it is sometimes for the kids to find the materials, that the teachers shared. It is quite fragmented. Some teachers are sharing their materials via Google Drive, some are sharing them via email, or some are just assigning them during the lesson somehow. And what we wanted to provide is the possibility to very easily push through the plugin. And again, this is multi-platform. This is, I think, the powerful part of the tool. So we can very easily push the materials that we upfront class collected. And this can be things like links. So I can share links that I previously selected, but I could also upload files or share uploaded files with my students. And once I press share, as you can see, probably, I'll wait for it, you will see it. As you press share, you will see on all the student devices, those tabs are opening. So we can proactively stream materials to the student devices without having to worry that they don't find their materials. So now, if I'm having a little bit of time while they're working on the task, I can already prepare my next lesson. And I can do that by simply using the browser as I would usually do, and I'm collecting some materials. And once I have found all my materials that I want to share, I can simply press the plugin where I can see the same classes that I have also in my dashboard. And I can select from those classes and see what materials I collected. Now I would like to prepare the Spanish 3B lesson, which is the next one. And by clicking it, I see I have no materials attached yet. So that's what I want to do now. And by simply clicking, I see all the tabs that I have currently opening. So those are exactly the same tabs I have in my browser. So if I already prepared all the materials, I can very quickly assign them to the class that I want to have. Those are the materials that I selected. And I also would like to add a couple of files or one file that I collected for the class that I want to share across my next lesson. So I can very easily do that by dragging and dropping the file. And once I release, it's uploading, as you can see. And this will be stored securely on a web page that I can later share with my students, and it's opening automatically on the student devices. And now I'm finished preparing the lesson, and I also think my class might be ready with what they are working on. So I'm quickly jumping back into class 3A. And now I want to have a little bit of an overview what actually happened, because I wasn't there for a while. So what I can do here is I can show the timeline of events happened in the past, and I can see what they're actually working on. And what you can see here is we have color coding. So for green are the materials that I shared as a teacher. So I can see all the green places, they worked really with the materials that I gave them. Probably they finished a bit earlier, and that's why they went on Twitter in this example. This system provides me a lot more transparency, and I can also see who's disconnected, who might have struggled, who might struggle with the connection, to be able to catch them up later. But I can also react to certain events happening. So I could say, I could hover certain events, and I could see what was it actually, what a student was looking at. In this case, it was a Facebook page, and I can really see that what was this person working with. And by clicking, I can even interact with it. So I could close the tab proactively, but I can also, what we think is very powerful, block the resource from all the students to work with. So if I, in general, want to exclude Facebook from my class, I can just press this here. And for everyone, Facebook will close automatically. And at the same time, they won't be able to open it during my lessons anymore. So now I would like the students to present the materials. And for this, I'm just quickly going into the screen overview. And here I can see all the screens of my students. I can really see what they're currently working on. I can maybe also support if they're still struggling with a certain exercise. And what I can also do is I can request access, so I can really control the student device. And this is especially for the younger grades, it's very helpful, because this is something we heard very often from teachers, that they struggle explaining to students what they actually need to do to perform a certain task. And this way we can show it to them once as a teacher, and later they can do it by themselves. But what I could do also now is I could let the student present it to class. So the student no longer proactively has to push a share button, but I can make him the presenter. And this was a quick overview. I hope you like it as much as we do. I think there's a lot of potential for the future of ClassSpaces, and we are very, very open to hear your feedback, to discuss your feedback together with you. And for this, whenever you have the chance to find some time, just drop us a message at ux.filewave@filewave.com, and we would really love to work together with you to make this really powerful tool, because we know we want to integrate you, because we think that's the only way how we can react to the current requirements, the current needs in the market, and to the current need of education. Thank you very much. And for this, I would give the word back to Vasily.
Yeah, so as you can see on your screen, we have some content information for you to provide us feedback. I've seen a very lively chat with some critique and some good ideas. So really encouraging. We really would like to understand how you see the tool, what do you think is missing for the products we're already using, or maybe you're already set and you don't need something else, also good for us, right? So thank you very much for that. And one more thing, basically, right, so I've alluded to that a little bit earlier, where I said, we're working this concept of IT spaces. And essentially, when we work on ClassSpaces, some of this technology that you're seeing that allows this collaboration, ease of use, across different devices for chatting, for sharing, for video, for controlling applications is a reusable technology that we're building on top of FileWave as a unified and one measure automation platform to actually enable use cases in other verticals, such as healthcare, such as manufacturing, logistic, some IT work, and so on and so forth. So that will be forthcoming from us. And if you see where you can benefit from something like that, please reach out, because we will be looking for some pilot customers for that space as well. So yeah, this is in addition to the future and the roadmap that we're seeing for the extended FileWave going forward. The FileWave is able to stay in sync with the developments on the market, right? To really meet your needs and be the partner that's not just serving one niche, but really helps you to reduce number of tools that you need to use to be productive, right? So that's what we're working on. So yeah, so thank you very much. And with that, I would like to pass the word to the next speaker or the next item on the agenda.
And the next item on the agenda is a break. So it's 11:02 here a.m. on the eastern side of the country. We're going to reconvene at 11:30, and I'll get to bore you a little bit with some product enhancement request type of information, and then we'll talk some about version 14.5 after that. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you back here in about 27 minutes.